the art in which we ourselves are the stuff of which it is made. This quote comes from an interview with Ted Shawn in 1955 for Time magazine. Shawn went on to open the Dennis Shawn Dance Company, which was one of the first modern companies in America, and it actually trained 2 of the 3 dancers that we are going to speak about today. Modern dance challenged everything that ballet had set as fact since it began in France with the aristocrats. It changed every single style of the technique, it changed the costumes, it changed everything about it. I've been dancing for 15 years, and much of this information I've gathered through my training. But with researching this, I'm learning so much more about why we do the things we do, why the technique is how it is, and it's really helping me. Though most of you are not formally trained in dance, I'm assuming, this still touches you in some way. You are either have been or will be exposed to dance at some point. May this be going to go see a Broadway musical, or turning on the television and seeing So You Think You Can Dance. Dance is growing so much with the growth of media, being on television, everyone's being exposed to it rather, whether if they want to or if they don't, really. Today we are going to learn about 3 dance pioneers, Isadora Duncan, Martha Graham, and Lester Horton. The first dancer that we are going to speak about today is Isadora Duncan. Duncan is known as the mother of modern dance, and most of the information that I gathered about her comes from the Isadora Duncan Dance Foundation. Duncan grew up in the United States with a strict ballet background. Around the age of 15, she decided that she hated it, and she left the ballet company, which was really huge for her because it was her entire life. With leaving this company, she chose to rebel, and she started a completely new style of dance and called it modern. Everything about this was rebellious. As you can see, this is the comparison. That is Duncan's new modern style, and this would be classical ballet. She traded tutus for loose-fitting tunics, strict ballet buns for open, loose hair, and hard point shoes, as you can see, for bare feet, which I could have a picture of, but it's all right. Everything about it was rebellious. Everything about it was different. Even the style and the technique was different. Ballet has a very strict style. Everything about it is placed in the 5 main positions, and with starting modern, she completely took away the technique of it, and she focused on movement, on free-flowing movement, on expressing yourself through how you're moving. Along with this, she chose that she didn't want to dance, she didn't want to choreograph for entertainment for the rich people. She wanted to choreograph to create art. And so that's what she did. She based the primary bulk of her choreography on things that she knew, which was life in America and life in Europe, as well as themes that are still universal today, and based her ideas off of Greek mythology and paintings. Our next artist that we are going to speak about is Martha Graham. Graham shared many of the same ideas as Duncan, with focusing on the American life. Most of the information I gathered on Graham comes from the Martha Graham Dance Company website. Graham once said, "A dance reveals the spirit of the country in which it takes root. No sooner does it fail to do so than when it loses its integrity and significance." She strove to do this with speaking about what she knew. She talked about dance in America because all of her dance themes were based off of her life. As well as this, her choreography is very relevant today still, because she focused on themes such as social issues, political issues, and psychological issues. So much of her choreography is still used in companies today. They reuse her choreography. Though Graham and Duncan shared very similar values, their technique could not have varied very much more within the realm of modern dance. She used a very strict technical base, working with the contraction and the release of the spine. And so it's about like spinal curvature was her main focus. And so she would curve the spine and extend the spine, and that's still a huge practice in modern dance. Here you can see it's a stricter movement in this picture than what you saw with Duncan, but she still wanted to focus on movement, on expressing her learning, on expressing her life through her dance. Graham went on to produce 181 works, and most of those are still works today. Our third artist is Lester Horton. Most of the information about Horton comes from danceheritage.org. Horton could not have varied too much more with both his technique and the themes behind his dance. Horton's main goal was to develop a strong athletic dancer. He wanted athletes. He didn't want just strict Horton dancers. He wanted them to be able to be trained for all styles. He wanted them to go into a ballet company, dance on Broadway, be tappers. He wanted them to be able to do anything. His goal was to strengthen and open up the body, and he did that through his knowledge of He worked with the flat back, which is keeping the top of the head through the bottom of the tailbone flat. The pelvic hinge, which is shown here, and the lateral T motion, which is shown here. Horton opened up the first permanent modern dance theater in the United States, and it was ethnically inclusive, which was a huge deal. He didn't care about gender or race. If you were a brilliant dancer, he wanted you in his company. Horton style is still widely practiced today, and it's actually the style of dance that they teach at Wichita State. In conclusion, modern dance was greatly influenced by Isadora Duncan, Martha Graham, and Lester Horton. Modern dance revolutionized dance, changing the ideas of what dance should be from ballet to this completely new, maneuverable style. And Duncan said in her book, My Life, if I could tell you what it meant, there would be no point in dancing it. Thank you.